Padres fall to the Cubs 3-1 in Game 1 of the National Wild Card Series. Welcome into another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside Heath Bell. Heath, Padres got off to a good start, scored first, and after that, the offense went completely silent. What are your overall thoughts on the Padres' Game 1 loss here to the Cubs?
He started out good. I was excited, and then the solo jacks kind of were disappointing, but it was kind of like, okay, the guys have been hot. The top of the lineup's going to come around, and unfortunately, they just never came around. And it was kind of like, if Tatis and Manny are not hitting, we don't do well. So it just towards the end of the game, that's what it felt like. Like, man, this offense, the pitching can only hold on for so long, and can be so perfect for so much. And it's just like, dude, where's the offense? What happened to it? That's all.
Yeah, the Padres managed only 4 hits against the Cubs, and most crucially, they did not have a single base runner after the 5th inning. Freddie Fermin recorded the Padres' 4th and final hit with 1 out in the 5th. After that, the Padres did not record a single base runner. The last 14 Padres went down in order. Heath, we've talked so much about the offense this season, how they've run so hot and cold, and there was reason for optimism. To finish out the season, the Padres were averaging well over 5 runs per game over the final 2 weeks of the season. They were hitting for power. They had 24 homers in their final 16 games. It seemed like the offense was finally clicking. Tatis, Machado, Merrill, everyone hitting at the same time. But we've seen this movie before where the Padres look good at Petco Park. They're rolling. They're hot. Everything looks like they're finally clicking. And then the second they hit the road, everything falls flat.
Yeah, that's the only bad part about the Padres this year is their road numbers are just horrible, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I mean, the difference between home and road, it can't be that big of a difference. You can't be so comfortable at home and then just horrible on the road. But I mean, the pitching, held up on the road. I felt like Nick did a great job. It almost felt like, I mean, they weren't striking out. The Cubs weren't like Kane, like Nick was striking everybody out and just left 2 bad pitches. Yeah. But it was just frustrating. It was almost like, I'm not a hitter, but it's kind of like, were they really focused or it was just another game to them? That's kind of how it felt a little bit, just watching it.
Yeah, the Padres, as you mentioned, did not get much production from their key hitters at the top of the order. Fernando Tatis Jr., Luis Arias, and Manny Machado went a combined 0 for 11. And I think, too, Heath, there were opportunities for the Padres to tack on some runs early, and they just didn't take advantage of it. We saw in the second inning, of course, Jackson Merrill with a hustle double. Xander Bogaerts falls with an RBI double. Bogaerts is able to advance to third on an error. All of a sudden, the Padres are up 1-0. They have a runner on third and no outs. They were not able to add any more that inning. And part of that was Dansby Swanson made a great defensive play to rob Ryan O'Hearn. Still, when you have a runner on third and no outs, you've got to get that run home, at least make that a 2-run inning, if not more. And then again, the fourth. The Padres had runners on the corners, 1 out. And once again, Dansby Swanson made a nice over-the-shoulder catch to rob Ryan O'Hearn of what might have been an RBI bloop single. But again, runners on the corners with 1 out to not get a single run out of that. Again, the Padres offense just not executing in big moments early. The Cubs were able to take advantage with back-to-back home runs in the 5th. And after that, the Padres offense just went silent. But we know in the postseason, you cannot miss opportunities, especially on the road. Those missed opportunities early really sealed the game for the Padres.
Well, like I said, the Padres offense is the best when they're playing. I guess I say small ball too much, but when they bunt, they go move guys over, sacrifice flies. When they just started swinging the bat, they're a hit-miss team. And honestly, this game, I felt really, even if when they were 2 down, I felt like, okay, it's all right. The guys are going to come around. It's okay. We've had our chances. We could have scored more in the second. We could have scored in the 5th. But it wasn't really until the 8th inning came along, all of a sudden, I was just like, dude, they're not going to hit again. I just felt like, geez, these are the guys that, you carry the team. And if they're not going to hit, the bottom of the lineup's not supposed to carry the team. So it was starting to get a little frustrating. And I'm a little worried about, the next game.
Yeah, the Cubs overall, 9 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Again, the Padres are not striking out, but they just could not get anything going. And part of that was the wind at Wrigley Field was blowing in. We saw the Padres have some deep drives get caught at the wall. At the same time, understanding what the conditions are, you're right. There's an argument to be made. They got to start maybe playing some small ball, focus on moving runners over. At the end of the day, the offense just did not get the job done. And even though Nick Pivetta allowed back-to-back home runs, overall he pitched well enough to win. But when you don't get any run support, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's really hard to win a one-run game. I mean, you could ask any hitter, you could ask any pitching staff. To win a one-run game is really tough, and it doesn't happen very often. You see more like 3-2, 2-1 games. So, if the Padres expect to just score in one run and to win the game, they're asking a lot for the pitching staff. They really are.
Yeah, again, not a winning formula. We will see if the offense is able to bounce back in game 2 tomorrow. All right, Heath, we're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and then we're going to dive deep into Nick Pivetta's outing as well as the performance of the Padres bullpen.
AJ, let's talk steaks. Omaha Steaks, to be precise. Big discounts we'll tell you about coming up in just a sec on the website, but also every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Been around since 1917. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely, they know what they're doing. They come prepackaged, perfect sizes, portion size. You can get any kind of cut you want, any kind of meat you want, and it all comes out delicious. You can freeze it. You can thaw it right away. There's hamburgers, there's steaks, there's chicken, there's pork chops. There's everything you could ever want, and it comes out delicious every time.
Save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. Promo code FOUL at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details.
All right, Heath, we talked a lot about the Padres offense and their shortcomings. Overall, the Padres pitching staff pitched well enough for the Padres to win, and that starts with Nick Pivetta. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts. Gave up the back-to-back home runs to Seiya Suzuki and Carson Kelly in the 5th. Ultimately, that was enough for the Cubs to stay in the lead. Look, obviously that wasn't a great moment, but generally speaking, if you give up 2 solo home runs across 5 innings and pitch as effectively and efficiently as Nick Pivetta did, typically you win. And again, I really do think this is a game where you have to kind of put it on the Padres offense. Nick Pivetta did his job.
Yeah, well, you know what? Nick went out there and pitched a brilliant game. He pitched 5 innings. That's what you want your starter to do, at least 5 innings. He was mowing everybody down. He just left 2 pitches. It just happens. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you can't be perfect in how many pitches he throw? Like 80, 85. 90 pitches. And so really 83 of them were perfect. Let's put it that way. And so that's, he did his job. The offense didn't really show up. Could he have been a little bit better? Yeah, he could have been 85 for 85, but he was 83 for 85. So, you got to give the guy some credit. And then here's the other aspect. I feel like the bullpen came in, pretty much did their job. Apparently, Miller just strikes at everybody, so maybe he should pitch all 9 innings next game. Throw his arm out again. But I felt like the pitching staff did really well, and it just didn't go the Padres' way.
Yeah, Audrin Moore relieved Nick Pivetta, allowed 2 hits, but then got a double play ball and got out of the inning. Mason Miller was ridiculous as always, striking out the side. Jeremiah Estrada gave up a run late, but again, it's just a situation where at the end of the day, if you only score 1 run, you can't expect to win. And
I really feel like that run was a manufactured run, kind of small ball, where that's what we should be doing a little bit. You get that extra one to put the dagger in the knife right there, because it's different pitching the 9th inning when it's 3-1 over 2-1, or hitting, one swing of the bat, it could be out. It's like, well, we got to get on, then one swing of the bat.
Yeah, no question about it. Very much a manufactured run there at the end by the Cubs. Dansby Swanson with a leadoff single, sac bump by Matt Shaw, intentional walk to Michael Busch, then wild pitch. Swanson and Busch both advance. Nico Horner lifts a sac fly. So once again, the Cubs were able to manufacture runs. They were able to take advantage of Nick Pivetta's really only 2 mistakes and hit the long ball. I mean, the Cubs offense, again, didn't do a ton, but they did enough. Overall, the Cubs had 6 hits and 3 runs, Padres 4 hits and 1 run. Even though it wasn't a ton, it was better than the Padres, and that's the name of the game.
The good part about this game, I mean, it sucks that they lost, But the good part is you still got some hope. The pitching staff is there. The Cubs didn't really crush the ball. They have 6 hits.
Yep.
It wasn't like they just were hitting us or hitting the starter or hitting the bullpen.
Yep.
They just got some key hits and key times, made some key plays where it could go our way tomorrow. It could go our way the next game where we get the big hit and we make the big play. So you got to keep your head. You got to stay positive. And here's the thing. Maybe the boys do better with their backs up against the wall because, if you lose, you're done. So now you got to concentrate more than you've ever concentrated before because, hey, it's do or die now.
Yeah, Heath, I do want to ask you, when you have a situation where you're in the postseason and it's a 1-run game, does it add more pressure to you as a pitcher, or do you just kind of say, hey, I have to go out there and treat this like any other outing? What's the right mindset for a pitcher to have in that situation?
Well, really, it boils down to, every game you want to win as a pitcher. You come in the bullpen and it's a 1-run game. You feel like it's not like, well, it's April 28th. I got to throw my pitches. You're always concentrating, especially on the road with the opposing fans and whatnot. So you're kind of on your A game. If you're thinking about the moment, then you're probably not the right person to be in the moment. Like, oh, we're in the playoffs. We're at Wrigley. We're on the road. We're losing, or we're winning. It's all those things that you're just out there. Like, I got to execute my pitch. And you know what? If we're up by 1 or we're down by 1, I gotta be on my A game, or we're going to lose. So I think every pitcher, especially bullpen guys, they kind of went through it the whole season. And it's not just like it's another game. You just feel like, here's the difference. Let me try to explain it this way. The bullpen really pays attention to the second half of the game. And they're kind of a fan the first 3 to 5 minutes, unless you're like that first guy out of the bullpen. And then the first 2 innings, you're kind of a fan. But if you're a 7, 8, 9 guy, you're pretty much watching the game as a fan, kind of taking notes, but you're watching the game the first 4 innings, 5 innings, and then you're really paying attention. In the playoffs, you're watching every pitch. You're recording every pitch in your mind. You're thinking about, what would I do in this situation, even if it's the second inning.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference, is maybe you're just intense, you're focused all 9 innings, where during the season you're probably focused the last 5 or 6 innings.
Yeah. And again, everyone on the pitching staff for the most part did their job. Again, Jeremiah Estrada letting up that run late, but on the whole, Padres pitching staff as a unit held the Cubs to 6 hits and 3 runs over 9 innings, 1 walk and 13 strikeouts. Again, you can nitpick here and there, but like you said, you can't expect a pitcher to be perfect every single pitch. And when that is what they have to do to win, you're probably not going to win, because at the end of the day, everyone's human. Everyone leaves a pitch up. Nick Pivetta got too much to the plate. Seiya Suzuki hit it 424 feet, left a fastball up to Carson Kelly. He was able to put it just over the fence in left center. Again, when your offense only gives you 4 hits and 1 run, there's not much you're going to be able to do in terms of winning the ball game when you have to get absolute perfection from your pitchers, especially in the postseason. All right, Heath, again, not the Padres' finest game. They are now down 1-0 in the series. They have to win the final 2 to keep their season alive and advance to the division series. We're going to take another quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and dive into Game 2 and what the Padres need to do to even the series. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins. With DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, your game day instincts can score you real money. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Heath, just like any other loss during the season, Padres have to flush this one quickly and move on. Game 2 is tomorrow at 2:08 p.m. Central Time, 12:08 p.m. Pacific Time. Dylan Cease will make the start for the Padres. He will go up against Andrew Kittredge is making the start for the Cubs. He is a reliever who we saw today. Whether the Cubs do a bullpen game or more likely an opener situation remains to be seen. Heath, starting from the Padres' perspective, Dylan Cease has struggled on the road all year, 1-9 with a 5.58 ERA away from Petco Park. What are you going to be watching for from Dylan Cease tomorrow?
Basically, him throwing strikes. If he starts walking or starts throwing like first pitch ball, it's almost like get him out of there. That's really, I mean, he'd be on a short leash with me right now because you can't. I mean, yeah, he can strike guys out, but if he's throwing first pitch ball and not getting ahead, you got to bring in your bullpen. You really got to do because it's do or die, and that's really what I'm going to be paying attention with Dylan Cease is getting ahead to batters and putting them away early and stop playing around.
Yeah, you mentioned a short leash. How short are we talking? Are we talking, 2 walks and a homer and he's gone? Or what are you looking for in terms of a short leash?
It's really the first pitch. If like say the first inning, he goes 1, 2, 3, but every pitch was a first pitch ball. Then on the back of my mind is like, I'm thinking, okay, who can I bring in? Because he's on the verge of losing it. Like 2 walks in a row, he might have lost it.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's going to be a hard situation because, like one swing of the bat when somebody's losing it, could change the dictation of the game. I mean, Nick was on today and, 2 swings of the bat. I mean, 2 pitches that weren't bad pitches, but they just got too much to play and that dictated the game and he was on. So, if Dylan is a little bit off, it's just, is he getting ahead and is he putting you guys away early instead of like, well, strike 1, strike 2, ball 1, ball 2. What are we doing here? Let's throw strikes and get after people right away. So it's going to be hard to be a short leash, but yeah, I think if there's back-to-back walks, I would be gone. Or, if the offense isn't scoring and they hit a home run, then we kind of got to get going. If anybody else gets on base, we got to pull them.
Yeah, and the Padres do have some starters available in long relief if needed. Of course, Michael King, who is not in the rotation for this series, but is on the roster, could be available to give the Padres some innings. Randy Vasquez as well, only threw 1 inning in the season finale on Sunday. He could potentially come in and give the Padres some length. So they do have some options. Obviously, the preferred outcome would be for Dylan Cease to lock it in and pitch well. And to his credit, he has pitched better in September. He went 2-1 with a 3.12 ERA over 5 September starts. Again, still was not particularly efficient. It was a lot of 100 pitches for 5 innings, 109 pitches for 6 innings, but he was able to hold opponents to 1 or 2 runs, and at the end of the day, give the Padres a chance to win. This could be Dylan Cease's final start as a Padre if it doesn't go well. If you were in Dylan Cease's shoes, what's the mindset you want to have, and what is the mindset you want to see from him tomorrow?
Hey, like I think the mindset that he should have, and I would love for him to have, is like, hey, give me the ball. I'll make sure that we play tomorrow. Yeah. That's the mindset. Like they're not going to win. I'm going to give us a chance. Just give me 1 or 2 runs and I'll get the ball to the bullpen and we'll be able to play tomorrow. That's the mindset that Dylan Cease needs to have.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, the Padres offense, what adjustments do you want to see them make after what happened today?
This is a pitcher for a hitter is square the ball up, try not to hit bombs, try to hit line drives, try to get base hits. They say home runs are fascist or whatnot. They're, selfish. Dude, get base hits, steal bases, move guys over, do anything you can to help the team win. If you're not hitting the ball, you don't feel comfortable, tell somebody. Hey, I'm going to slap the ball. I'm going to bunt. Let's do something. Let's choke up on the bat because we just need to square the ball up a little bit more. That's all. I almost feel like they're just, their eye-hand coordination's a little off. And it's crazy only having 1 day off, but the last 3 or 4 days, your eye-hand coordination was great. But off 1 day and in a different state, different city, all of a sudden you lose your eye-hand coordination. It's kind of frustrating a little bit.
And to be fair, there were some hard contacts. Again, rolling in at Wrigley Field, the ball just doesn't carry. And I think that is an adjustment to make of, okay, the ball isn't
Well,
today. We need to start playing a little more small ball.
Tony Gwynn, sorry, I got to say this because Tony Gwynn, you said this all the time. I heard from guys, you hit it hard and you were like, man, I got nothing because somebody made a great play. Tony Gwynn's like, you got bad aim. Like, bad aim? Yeah, don't hit it at him. Square it up and don't hit it at the guy. So that's how good Tony was. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously Tony Gwynn was one of a kind, and that's certainly easier said than done. It's going to be an interesting game tomorrow because realistically, for the Padres, you understand, look, you've got to bounce back offensively regardless, but also understanding Dylan Cease's struggles on the road. Realistically, for the Padres, you go in saying, hey, we need to get 5, 6, 7 runs just to give ourselves some breathing room. And we'll see what the Cubs choose to do. Again, Andrew Kittredge, will start. Shota Imanaga and Colin Ray are both on regular rest. Either of them could come in for the Cubs. Jameson Taillon is not on regular rest. He'd be ready to go in game 3. So we'll see what the Cubs choose to do. Bring in Shota Imanaga, a lefty. We saw Matthew Boyd, even though it was only 4 1/3 innings today. Another lefty have success against the Padres. Colin Ray, former Padre as well, has been very, very good. Again, we'll see what the Cubs choose to do, but they have options, and the Padres are the team with their backs against the wall. Heath, any final thoughts on today's game or what's coming tomorrow?
The final thought is popping into my head is, when in 2007, when we didn't have much of an offense and we had a stellar pitching staff and, that 163 game, we lost to Colorado anyway. Yeah. When Jake Peavy won the Cy Young, we didn't score any runs for him because he was our ace. But, David Wells would go out there or Greg Maddux or, Chris Young. We'd end up scoring 5 or 6. And it was like, where'd this come from? And it was almost like the offense, and I'm not saying they do this, but we almost joked around, well, this pitcher is going to give up 2 or 3, so we better score 4 or 5. And then with Jake pitch, well, Jake's not going to give up runs, so all we need is 1. So sometimes when your ace pitches, the offense doesn't show up for whatever reason. And when your ace doesn't pitch, your offense shows up. So I'm predicting that the Padres offense is going to show up tomorrow, and then we'll just see what happens in the third game.
That would certainly be an outcome that the Padres, their coaches, their scouts, their fans, everyone would love to see. We will see if Dylan Cease can reverse his road struggles and help the Padres stay alive. This has been another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Go ahead and give us a review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We'd love to hear from you. We will be back with post-game reaction from Game 2 tomorrow, win or lose. For Heath Bell, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening. See you tomorrow.